Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's the 23rd of February 2025. It's a red Sunday. It's our political education. Last week we did not have political education. Our apologies. In the last few days, we've been following closely the activities of some war veterans as led by Comrade Blessed Bombshell Geza, who are opposed to the extension of the term of office of President Emmerson Mnangagwa and that of Parliament up to 2030. The emergence of Comrade Geza and others is as a result of a political vacuum that exists in Zimbabwe. Nature does not allow for a vacuum. We have failed as the opposition to mobilize the mass of the people in Zimbabwe around a common program of dismantling Zanuism. The opposition in Zimbabwe remains divided. It is weak. In one of the discussions that we had in this platform, we said we should not blame the masses because the masses now look up to Comrade Geza as a man that can lead in what one would call reformation of ZANU-PF. Some masses of the people, because of what is happening in the opposition, they now no longer care as long as Mnangagwa is gone. And this is the fundamental mistake that we've made in the opposition. In our last discussion, some few weeks ago, we answered the question, what is to be done? And we seem not to be doing what we've been talking about, things that are needed to be done for us to build or for us to dismantle Zanuism. One of the things that we failed to do, which we must admit, is that we failed to build a mass movement rooted in the ideals of the liberation struggle. It has been a total failure. Yes, we built the MDC from 2000 or from 1999. The MDC rooted in the mass of the people. We did build the MDC, which was hijacked later on. And now the MDC does not exist. Triple C has 3 factions. So our failure to build a mass movement rooted in the mass of the people has opened this vacuum, which Comrade Geza and the others are now occupying. And the challenge that we are faced with is that the mass of the people in Zimbabwe are now supporting one faction inside the ZANU-PF against the other. They now believe that it is better to have another faction in ZANU-PF leading as opposed to the current faction which is led by President Emmerson Mnangagwa. And we must ourselves take the blame. It's because we failed to unite the people of Zimbabwe. We failed to build a mass movement rooted in the ideals of the liberation struggle. Yes, if we analyze inside the ZANU-PF the factions, as we've said, these factions are competing to loot. There is no faction inside the ZANU-PF that will rebuild the economy. It's a competition to loot. But because of desperation, the mass of the people then want to see a different leader, even if that different leader emerges from ZANU-PF. The second issue that we have failed to do, which we spoke about some few weeks ago, is to carry out political education. And as communists, we must take the blame, because if we are building a vanguard, we must have capacity to provide political education inside the trade union movements, inside the social formations. As a communist party, we are no longer guiding the mass of the people through their mass organizations. So the lack of political education should be placed on the doorstep. The blame should be placed on the doorstep of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. It must be placed on the doorstep of every member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. When we established the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we said we are not establishing a mass movement. We are establishing a vanguard of the working class and the peasantry. In other words, we are an organ of the working class and the peasantry. And we said we are not a class by ourselves. We are an organ of this class. It is therefore our revolutionary duty as a communist party to provide political education inside the trade unions, inside the social formations. Because through political education, it is then that the working class and peasantry will build a mass movement rooted in the ideals of the liberation struggle. It is then that a mass movement that will dismantle Zanuism, a mass movement that is anti-imperialist, a mass movement that is for pushing back imperialism, pushing back the looting class, will emerge. In the absence of political education, which we must be at the center of as the Zimbabwe Communist Party, in that absence, these elements, these forces that are competing to loot will emerge, as they are emerging now inside the ZANU-PF. As they emerge, they will be seen as the savior of the people. Che Guevara taught us that, which we are not applying in our political education. Comrade Che Guevara says, liberators do not exist. The people shall liberate themselves. This is the message that we should be taking as the Zimbabwe Communist Party to the mass of the people through their mass organizations. The other point that we spoke about was that we must use social media to propagate our views. Mass media is in our disposal. We always talk about football on Facebook. You post anything about football, you'll get many comments. You post anything political, you'll get few comments. We post a video about Zimbabwe exemption payments, we get thousands of viewers. We post a video about the politics, less comrades will follow or will watch. So we must therefore raise the class consciousness of the working class inside and outside Zimbabwe, to an extent that the mass of the migrant workers in South Africa must understand that a Zimbabwe exemption permit is not a permanent thing, that it is like a bridge. It's a transitional phase where we are being accommodated in South Africa. for a period of time. But we all are on our way to resolve, or we are working towards resolving the economic, political, and social crisis in our own country. As I conclude, Comrade Geza and his comrades, they've done mistakes. Of course, their mistakes are less than our own mistakes that we've done. But we just want to point out this, that they've done mistakes. And the one mistake that will conclude on is that you do not make an announcement when you want to remove a man installed by the military. You do not make an announcement. Comrade Future Msebele says, ngesindebele awuzingeli uchawu umlozo uchawu ukhwelo uyayithusa inyamazana ezingelayo. You cannot get to the jungle, hunt while you are making noise, because your target will flee. And this is what their press conferences have done. The mistake that we did as the MDC in 2000, in rejecting the constitutional referendum, or the constitution in the referendum, because had we voted yes, ZANU-PF was not going to attack the opposition, particularly the workers who were on farms. They were not going to do that, because the draft constitution was clear that land was going to be nationalized. So there was no reason, there was not going to be a reason for ZANU-PF to invade land. They were not going to mobilize all veterans against the opposition, because they did not believe that they were going to lose an election. So voting no in the constitutional referendum in 2000 brought back ZANU-PF to a realization that the power was slipping away. What Comrade Geza has done, he has been hunting, making noise. And now the crocodile is very much aware that it is being hunted. And they know what the crocodile does. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're on TikTok, please join us. Amandla Comrade.